In this video, we will embark on a quest to unravel the enigmatic life of the legendary hero, Heracles. Known to some as Hercules, this colossal figure's story reaches far beyond the sanitized portrayal by Disney to the origins of his extraordinary power and the incredible challenges he faced. As we traverse through the captivating landscape of ancient Greece, we'll uncover the intricate tapestry of Heracles' life, using the detailed accounts of Pseudo-Apollodorus and Diodorus of Sicily as our trusted guides. We'll explore the evolution of the ancient Greek hero, delve into the complexities of Heracles' lineage, and uncover the riveting tales of his conquests, triumphs, and tribulations. Let's get to it. To truly appreciate the legendary figure of Heracles, we must first embark on a deeper exploration of the concept of a hero in ancient Greece. A hero in this ancient world was more than just a champion of great strength and bravery, or a moral standard like it is in our modern times. It was a complex and intricate tapestry of divine connection, human nature, and cultural identity. In the heart of ancient Greek society, heroes were intimately linked to the gods, their divine ancestry or visitation acting as the catalyst for their heroic nature. This divine connection amplified their human traits, elevating their strengths and weaknesses and turning them into near mythic beings. The very idea of heroes in ancient Greece is believed to have evolved from the veneration of ancestors. This practice played a crucial role in cultivating a strong sense of identity and belonging within the city-states. Heroes represented the ideal blend of human and divine, instilling a sense of awe and reverence among the populace. Heroes in ancient Greece were not necessarily paragons of virtue or morality. They often committed unspeakable acts of cruelty or malevolence. However, their heroism was ingrained in their very being, a fate that could not be avoided. They stood as eternal symbols of the eternal struggle between human nature and divine intervention, demonstrating that even those touched by the gods were not immune to the pitfalls of human frailty. Moreover, heroes in ancient Greece had an air of unpredictability and change. While gods were immortal and fixed in their characteristics, heroes, as mortals, could grow, learn, and evolve. Their stories resonated with the population, as their trials and tribulations mirrored the struggles faced by ordinary people. Now that we have a deeper understanding of what it meant to be a hero in ancient Greece, we can truly appreciate the enigmatic and complex character of Heracles. With his superhuman strength, divine lineage, and undeniable humanity, Heracles represents the epitome of a hero in ancient Greece, as we will see in his story. The birth of Heracles, the legendary hero, traces back to the entangled relationships and events of his divine ancestry. Let's set the scene by journeying to the origins of his lineage, starting with his great-grandfather, the renowned Perseus. Perseus, the founder of Mycenae and the son of Zeus and Danae, was a hero in his own right. As the slayer of the Gorgon Medusa and the savior of Andromeda, he laid the groundwork for the future dynasty that would produce the extraordinary figure of Heracles. The interesting thing about this is that this makes Heracles both Perseus's great-grandson and half-brother, highlighting the complex relationships in ancient Greek family trees. From Perseus's multiple sons sprang various branches of descendants who found themselves embroiled in a series of conflicts and power dynamics. One notable descendant was Electron, who became the king of Mycenae after the passing of his father. Tragedy struck when the sons of Heracles, who himself was the son of Mestor, the brother of Electron, seeking revenge for their grandfather's death, killed Electron's sons and stole his cattle. Electron then entrusted the throne to his nephew, Amphitryon, and sent him on a mission to avenge his sons and retrieve the stolen cattle. Amphitryon, the son of Perseus's son Alcaeus, fell in love with Electron's daughter, Alcmene. Known for her chastity, she agreed to marry Amphitryon once he avenged her brother's deaths and recovered the stolen cattle. To fulfill his promise, Amphitryon enlisted the help of King Creon of Thebes. However, fate had other plans, as an accident resulted in Amphitryon accidentally killing Electron, forcing the couple to flee to Thebes for sanctuary. Meanwhile, Zeus, the king of gods, had been watching Alcmene from afar. Sensing an opportunity, he disguised himself as Amphitryon and deceived Alcmene, spending the night with her while the real Amphitryon was away. Zeus fathered Heracles that night, while the real Amphitryon, returning victorious from his mission, unknowingly sired Heracles' half-brother, Iphicles. Heracles' divine birth instantly ignited the wrath of Hera, Zeus's wife, as he was a constant reminder of her husband's infidelity. Vengeful and cunning, Hera sought to make Heracles' life as difficult as possible from the very beginning. Her first act of revenge was to deny Heracles his rightful place on the throne of Mycenae. By delaying Heracles' birth, or accelerating the birth of Sthenelus' son, Eurystheus, she ensured that Eurystheus would become the firstborn heir to the throne. This act of divine intervention marked the beginning of a tumultuous relationship between Heracles and Hera, a conflict that would continue to shape his destiny. Despite the machinations of Hera, the infant Heracles was not without divine protectors. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, was a steadfast ally of Heracles throughout his life. Recognizing his potential for greatness, she devised a plan to provide him with divine nourishment. She brought the infant Heracles to an unsuspecting Hera, convincing her to breastfeed the child. As Heracles suckled with such force that it caused Hera immense pain, she cast him away in anger. This pivotal moment became the source of Heracles' immense strength, as well as the creation of the Milky Way, as the spilt divine milk formed the celestial phenomenon we see today, according to some sources. The early life of Heracles was marked by a series of events and challenges that not only shaped his character, but also set the stage for the remarkable hero he would become. As he ventured into adulthood, Heracles began to demonstrate his incredible strength and courage, facing formidable opponents and performing awe-inspiring feats. One of the first instances that showcased Heracles' burgeoning prowess occurred when he was still an infant. Hera, consumed by her hatred for the young hero, sent 2 serpents to kill him in his cradle. However, the infant Heracles, exhibiting a taste of his divine strength, strangled the serpents with his bare hands, thereby confirming his heroic destiny. As Heracles grew, he was surrounded by a number of mentors who taught him various skills essential for a hero of his stature. His education covered a wide range of disciplines, such as chariot riding, under the guidance of Amphitryon, wrestling, as instructed by Autolycus, the son of Hermes, archery, taught by Eurytus, an accomplished archer, and fencing, led by Castor, the renowned horseman and warrior. Even in the realm of arts, Heracles was tutored by the best, learning to play the lyre from Linus, the son of Apollo. These formative years also saw the emergence of Heracles' fierce and indomitable nature, which would become one of his most defining characteristics. Living among his father's herds, Heracles faced one of his first significant challenges, the fearsome lion of Cithaeron. This monstrous beast had been terrorizing the region, and Heracles took it upon himself to confront the creature. With his bare hands, he overpowered and killed the lion, proving himself a formidable warrior and protector of the people. Around this time, Heracles was welcomed into the home of King Thespius of Thespiae. Thespius, impressed by Heracles' strength and divine lineage, devised a plan to strengthen his own bloodline. He had 50 daughters, who all looked nearly identical. Thespius arranged for Heracles to sleep with each of his daughters, one each night during his stay. Heracles unknowingly sired a child with each of the daughters, granting Thespius the strong offspring he desired from the legendary hero. These were all high points in the life of Heracles, including his marriage to Megara, the eldest daughter of King Creon of Thebes. With his marriage to Megara, this made Heracles the heir to the throne of Thebes, but as it is with Greek heroes, tragedy was to befall him. One fateful day, Hera's enmity toward Heracles reached its peak when she struck him with a temporary madness. In this state, he could not distinguish friend from foe, and tragically killed his wife Megara and their children, believing them to be enemies. Upon regaining his sanity, Heracles was devastated by the realization of his actions. Seeking atonement and a way to purify himself from the terrible crimes he had committed, he turned to the Oracle of Delphi. The Oracle, influenced by Hera, advised him to serve King Eurystheus, a man whom Heracles deeply despised, for a period of 12 years. King Eurystheus, at the behest of Hera, devised a series of tasks for Heracles to complete. These tasks, later known as the 12 labors, were intended to be so challenging and dangerous that they would either break the hero's spirit, kill him, or forever taint his reputation. The rationale behind these labors was twofold. First, they were meant as a form of penance for the terrible crimes Heracles had committed in his madness. By performing these labors, he would purify himself and atone for his actions. Second, the successful completion of these tasks would prove Heracles' worth as a hero, allowing him to reclaim his honor and cement his place in history. The first labor assigned to Heracles by King Eurystheus was to slay the Nemean lion, a fearsome beast with an impenetrable golden fur and deadly claws that could tear through any armor. The lion roamed the hills of Nemea, terrorizing the local population and devouring anyone who dared cross its path. This fearsome creature was believed to be the offspring of the monster Typhon and the serpent Echidna, making it a formidable adversary, even for a hero like Heracles. Heracles embarked on his journey to Nemea, where he soon discovered that the lion was not an ordinary beast. The creature's hide was impervious to mortal weapons, leaving Heracles with the challenge of figuring out how to slay the monster without relying on his usual arsenal. The demigod first tried to shoot arrows at the lion from a distance, but they merely bounced off its impenetrable fur. Realizing that conventional methods would not work, Heracles changed his approach. He decided to confront the lion in its den, a cave with two entrances, and engaged it in hand-to-hand combat. Heracles blocked one of the cave's entrances, trapping the lion inside, and then bravely entered the den through the other opening. The two battled ferociously in the confined space, with the lion lunging at Heracles, trying to sink its teeth and claws into him. Heracles, using his incredible strength and agility, managed to avoid the lion's attacks and eventually found an opportunity to grapple the beast, wrapping his arms around its neck. Drawing upon his divine strength, Heracles began to squeeze, tightening his grip on the lion until it could no longer breathe. In a desperate struggle for survival, the lion clawed and bit at Heracles, but ultimately succumbed to the hero's unyielding hold. With the lion defeated, Heracles had completed the first of his 12 labors. However, the challenge did not end there. As proof of his victory, Eurystheus demanded that Heracles bring back the lion's pelt. But given the invulnerable nature of the hide, Heracles struggled to find a way to skin the beast. After much contemplation, Heracles had an ingenious idea. He used the lion's own razor-sharp claws to cut through its impenetrable hide and remove the pelt. Heracles returned to Eurystheus, wearing the Nemean lion's hide as armor and carrying its severed head as a grisly trophy. This victory not only proved Heracles' incredible physical prowess, but also showcased his resourcefulness and determination in the face of seemingly impossible odds. The second labor assigned to Heracles by King Eurystheus was to defeat the Lernaean Hydra, a fearsome, many-headed serpent that dwelled in the swampy waters of Lerna near the city of Argos. The Hydra was another monstrous offspring of Typhon and Echidna, making it a sibling to the Nemean lion. This dreadful creature was not only deadly due to its multiple venomous heads, but it also possessed the ability to regenerate 2 heads for each one that was severed, making it seemingly invulnerable. Armed with the knowledge of the Hydra's formidable nature, Heracles set off to Lerna, accompanied by his loyal nephew and charioteer, Iolaus. Upon arriving at the swamp, Heracles covered his mouth and nose with a cloth to protect himself from the toxic fumes emitted by the Hydra and its swampy lair. Determined to face the creature head-on, Heracles lured the Hydra out of its watery domain by firing flaming arrows at it. As the serpent emerged, the hero charged into battle, wielding his trusty club, while in other sources, a sword. Heracles valiantly fought the Hydra, striking at its many heads, but soon discovered the monster's unique regenerative ability. Each time he severed a head, 2 more would sprout in its place, rendering his efforts futile. Realizing that he needed to change his strategy, Heracles enlisted the help of Iolaus. As the hero continued to sever the Hydra's heads, Iolaus quickly used a torch to cauterize each wound, preventing new heads from growing back. This ingenious tactic effectively halted the creature's regeneration, and together, the 2 heroes managed to subdue the seemingly invincible monster. However, the Hydra had one last trick up its sleeve. Among its numerous heads, it had one that was immortal. Heracles, undaunted, severed this final head and buried it deep in the ground, placing a heavy boulder on top to ensure it could never resurface. To further commemorate his victory, Heracles dipped his arrows in the Hydra's venomous blood, making them even more lethal and adding to his formidable arsenal. After conquering the fearsome Lernaean Hydra, Heracles was assigned his third labor by King Eurystheus to capture the elusive Cyrenian hind. The hind was a magnificent golden-horned deer sacred to the goddess Artemis, known for its incredible speed and agility. It roamed the region of Cyrenea, a dense forest between Arcadia and Achaea, and was believed to be nearly impossible to catch due to its swift nature. The third labor presented a different kind of challenge for Heracles, who had so far displayed his strength and combat prowess. In this task, he was required to rely on his cunning and patience to capture the elusive animal without causing it harm, as injuring a sacred creature of the gods would result in severe consequences. Heracles embarked on his pursuit of the Cyrenian hind, tracking the animal through the dense forest for over a year. Time and time again, he came close to capturing the hind, only for it to elude him at the last moment, darting away with breathtaking speed. During this long chase, Heracles demonstrated incredible endurance and persistence, refusing to give up even when the task seemed insurmountable. Eventually, his perseverance paid off. Heracles devised a plan to capture the hind while it was sleeping. Taking advantage of its lowered guard, he silently approached the resting animal and swiftly bound its legs together, immobilizing it before it could escape. With the hind finally in his grasp, Heracles set off to return the creature to Eurystheus. However, on his journey back, he encountered Artemis and her brother Apollo. The two deities confronted Heracles, demanding an explanation for his actions. Heracles, knowing that the wrath of the gods could be deadly, humbly explained his situation, attributing the capture of the sacred deer to the orders he had received from Eurystheus. Artemis, appeased by Heracles' honesty and recognizing the hero's difficult predicament, allowed him to proceed with the completion of his labor, on the condition that the hind be returned unharmed once the task was fulfilled. Heracles agreed, and upon presenting the captured hind to Eurystheus, the king reluctantly acknowledged Heracles' success in completing the third labor. The Cyrenean hind labor not only showcased Heracles' determination and resourcefulness, but also highlighted his respect for the gods and his ability to navigate delicate situations. The fourth labor assigned to Heracles by King Eurystheus was to capture the ferocious Erymanthian boar. This enormous wild boar terrorized the inhabitants of Mount Erymanthus and the surrounding region, wreaking havoc on their crops and causing fear and devastation in its wake. Unlike the previous labor, which tested Heracles' cunning and patience, the Erymanthian boar presented a formidable physical challenge, demanding both strength and strategy. Heracles set off on his journey to Mount Erymanthus, prepared to face yet another fearsome adversary. Along the way, the hero stopped at the home of his centaur friend, Pholus, to seek guidance and assistance. Pholus, intrigued by Heracles' task, decided to open a jar of wine that he had received as a gift, which was said to be so potent that it should not be opened until Heracles had successfully completed his 12 labors. The aroma of the wine attracted the other centaurs living in the area, leading to an altercation when they became intoxicated and aggressive. Heracles found himself in the midst of a chaotic battle against the frenzied centaurs, who were armed with rocks and burning branches. Using the venom-tipped arrows he had obtained from the Lernaean Hydra, Heracles defended himself and managed to drive the centaurs away. Although this incident was an unexpected detour from his original task, it demonstrated Heracles' ability to adapt and overcome unpredictable obstacles. However, according to another account, Heracles chased after all the fleeing centaurs and killed them one by one, also highlighting the demigod's dark and ruthless side. With the centaur conflict resolved, the hero resumed his pursuit of the Erymanthian boar. Heracles located the fearsome beast on the slopes of Mount Erymanthus and carefully studied its habits and movements. He soon realized that the boar was most active during the day, charging at anything that crossed its path, but that it retreated to a specific cave to rest during the night. Armed with this knowledge, Heracles decided to use the environment to his advantage. He chased the boar through the snow, driving it up the mountain and into deep snowdrifts, where its movements became sluggish and labored. As the exhausted boar struggled to escape, Heracles was able to approach it, capturing the beast alive by ensnaring it in a large net. With the Erymanthian boar captured, Heracles carried the enormous creature back to Eurystheus, who, once again, was forced to acknowledge the hero's success in completing the fourth labor. For his fifth labor, King Eurystheus tasked Heracles with an assignment that, at first glance, appeared less daunting than the monstrous adversaries he had faced so far, cleaning the Augean stables. These stables belonged to King Augeas of Elis, who was renowned for his vast herds of cattle, numbering in the thousands. The Augean stables, however, had not been cleaned in many years, and the filth and waste had accumulated to such an extent that the mere sight and stench of it was unbearable. The underlying challenge of this labor was not only the sheer amount of waste to be cleared, but also the fact that Eurystheus had imposed a strict time limit on the task. Heracles was to clean the stables entirely in just one day. This seemingly impossible feat was intended to humble and humiliate the great hero, forcing him to perform a task that was menial and degrading in comparison to his previous exploits. Undeterred by the magnitude of the task at hand, Heracles approached King Augeas and struck a bargain with him. The hero agreed to clean the stables within the given time frame, but in return, he demanded that Augeas would reward him with 1/10 of his enormous cattle herd. Augeas, incredulous at the idea that Heracles could actually achieve the feat, agreed to the terms. Heracles, once again demonstrating his ingenuity, devised a plan to use the power of nature to his advantage. Instead of attempting to clean the stables by hand, he decided to divert the course of two nearby rivers, the Alpheus and the Peneus. He accomplished this by digging a series of trenches and channels that led the rivers through the Augean stables, using their powerful currents to wash away the years of accumulated filth. As the rushing waters swept through the stables, the waste was flushed out, leaving the once foul area pristine and clean. Heracles had successfully completed the task in just one day, as stipulated, proving yet again that no challenge was insurmountable for him. However, when Heracles returned to Augeas to claim his reward, the king went back on his word, refusing to grant the hero his agreed-upon share of the cattle. In response, Heracles took the matter to court, where he was ultimately victorious, obtaining the cattle he was owed. The fifth labor showcased Heracles' ability to approach problems with creativity and resourcefulness. The sixth labor presented to Heracles by King Eurystheus involved a formidable task that once again tested the hero's ingenuity and adaptability. Heracles was to drive away or destroy the Stymphalian birds, a flock of large, aggressive, and deadly creatures that plagued the region around Lake Stymphalia in Arcadia. These monstrous birds had sharp, metallic feathers that they could launch like deadly projectiles at their victims, and their beaks and talons were equally fearsome, capable of tearing apart anyone or anything that came too close. The birds were known to terrorize the local population, devouring crops, livestock, and even humans, while also creating a toxic environment with their toxic excrement, poisoning the land and the water. Upon arriving at the lake, Heracles realized that the dense marsh surrounding the area made it difficult for him to approach the birds on foot. The hero needed to devise a strategy that would enable him to drive the birds from their hiding places among the marshes and force them into the open, where he could confront them directly. To achieve this, Heracles sought the assistance of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and strategic warfare. Athena, always ready to lend her aid and counsel to the hero, provided Heracles with a set of bronze castanets, or crotala, that had been crafted by the god Hephaestus. These castanets, when struck together, produced a noise so loud and piercing that it could startle and frighten even the fiercest of creatures. With the help of Athena's divine gift, Heracles positioned himself on a nearby hill and began to strike the castanets, creating a thunderous and unnerving noise that echoed across the marshes. The cacophony had the desired effect, as the Stymphalian birds, overcome by panic and fear, took flight and abandoned their hiding places. Now exposed and vulnerable, the birds attempted to escape the ear-splitting noise, flying high into the sky. Heracles, however, was prepared for this moment. As the birds took to the air, he began to unleash a barrage of arrows, picking them off one by one with his incredible accuracy and speed. The remaining birds, recognizing the threat posed by the unstoppable hero, fled the region, never to return. The sixth labor showcased Heracles' ability to overcome challenges by employing both his physical prowess and his capacity for strategic thinking. The seventh labor set before Heracles by King Eurystheus would take him to the island of Crete, where he was tasked with capturing the infamous Cretan bull, a fearsome and powerful creature that was wreaking havoc across the island. This enormous bull was a beautiful and majestic beast, with a coat that shone like polished bronze and sharp, curved horns that could easily gore any adversary. The Cretan bull was a divine animal, created by the god Poseidon. In a tale steeped in divine intrigue, Poseidon had initially sent the bull to King Minos of Crete as a sign of support for Minos's claim to the throne. Minos had vowed to sacrifice the bull in honor of Poseidon, but upon seeing its immense beauty and strength, he chose to keep the bull for himself, sacrificing another in its place. Enraged by this deceit, Poseidon cursed the Cretan bull, causing it to go mad and rampage throughout the island, destroying crops, leveling structures, and terrorizing the inhabitants. Upon arriving in Crete, Heracles sought the assistance of King Minos, who willingly offered his support, eager to rid his kingdom of the rampaging bull. Heracles set out to locate the creature, and when he finally encountered the massive beast, the stage was set for yet another epic confrontation. The Cretan bull, in its maddened state, charged at Heracles with immense power and ferocity. However, the hero was undaunted, as he had faced many formidable foes before. Demonstrating incredible agility and strength, Heracles managed to evade the bull's vicious attacks, maneuvering himself into a position where he could seize the animal by its horns. With a combination of brute strength and expert technique, Heracles wrestled the Cretan bull to the ground, subduing the fearsome creature and rendering it unable to continue its destructive rampage. Once the bull had been tamed, Heracles bound its legs and hoisted the massive animal onto his shoulders, carrying it back to King Minos as a testament to his incredible feat. King Minos, grateful for Heracles' assistance in capturing the bull, allowed the hero to take the creature back to Eurystheus as proof of his success in completing the seventh labor. Upon his return, Heracles presented the Cretan bull to the king, who, impressed and intimidated by the hero's latest accomplishment, ultimately set the creature free. The Cretan bull would later roam the Greek countryside of Marathon, which would become the focus of another heroic and legendary tale with the hero Theseus. In capturing the Cretan bull, Heracles showcased not only his extraordinary strength and courage, but also his skill as a wrestler and tactician. Heracles' eighth labor took him on a perilous journey to the faraway land of Thrace, where he was tasked with capturing the terrifying mares of Diomedes, a quartet of wild, man-eating horses that belonged to the brutal and savage King Diomedes. These fearsome mares, named Podagos, Lampon, Xanthos, and Deinos, were known not only for their immense strength and speed, but also for their terrifying appetites, as they feasted upon the flesh of any unfortunate humans who crossed their path. King Diomedes, the ruler of the warlike Bistones tribe and a son of the god of war, Ares, kept these monstrous horses tethered to a bronze manger, feeding them a gruesome diet of human flesh to maintain their viciousness and bloodlust. As a result, the mares were not only dangerous due to their size and power, but also because of their insatiable hunger for human prey. Upon arriving in Thrace, Heracles assembled a team of trusted companions to aid him in this challenging endeavor. Among them was the hero's loyal nephew and companion, Iolaus, who had accompanied Heracles on many of his previous adventures. Together, they set out to confront the Bistones and their dreaded king, determined to subdue the mares and complete the labor. Heracles and his companions quickly discovered that the task would not be an easy one, as they were forced to engage in battle with the Bistones warriors, who fiercely protected their king and his prized horses. As Heracles and his team fought the Bistones, the hero tasked Iolaus and another companion, Abderus, with the dangerous mission of leading the mares away from the battlefield. The cunning Iolaus devised a plan to neutralize the horses' bloodthirsty instincts, driving iron spikes into the ground and tethering the mares to them using chains. This rendered the mares unable to attack and devour their handlers, allowing Heracles and his companions to subdue the fearsome creatures and take them into their custody. With the mares under control, Heracles turned his attention to King Diomedes, who had engaged the hero in a ferocious duel. In a final act of poetic justice, Heracles defeated the brutal ruler and fed him to his own mares, satisfying their monstrous appetites and quelling their bloodlust. With the mares now tamed, Heracles led them back to Eurystheus, successfully completing the eighth labor. The capture of the mares of Diomedes demonstrated not only Heracles' immense strength and courage in the face of danger, but also his strategic abilities and the importance of teamwork in overcoming even the most formidable obstacles. The ninth labor set before Heracles by King Eurystheus involved traveling to the distant lands of the Amazons, a legendary tribe of warrior women, to obtain the prized girdle of Hippolyta, their queen. This belt was a symbol of power and authority, gifted to Hippolyta by her father Ares, the god of war. Eurystheus had been asked by his daughter, Admete, to bring her the girdle, and thus the task fell upon Heracles to accomplish this feat. The Amazons were renowned for their fierce combat skills and unwavering courage, making any attempt to take the girdle by force a dangerous proposition. However, Heracles' reputation as a great hero preceded him, and upon his arrival in the land of the Amazons, he was greeted warmly by Queen Hippolyta herself, who was intrigued by his legendary deeds and impressed by his accomplishments. Heracles engaged in conversation with the queen, recounting the tale of his 12 labors and explaining the reason for his visit. To his surprise, Hippolyta was so taken by Heracles' bravery and noble character that she willingly offered to give him her girdle, sparing him the need to fight for it. However, the situation quickly took a dark and unexpected turn. Hera, the ever-scheming goddess and Heracles' nemesis, took the form of an Amazon warrior and spread false rumors among the tribe, claiming that Heracles intended to kidnap their queen. Enraged by this apparent deception, the Amazons prepared for battle and attacked Heracles and his crew. Caught off guard by the sudden assault, Heracles and his men were forced to defend themselves against the formidable warriors. In the midst of the chaotic battle, Heracles confronted Queen Hippolyta, suspecting that she had betrayed him. In the heat of the moment, Heracles killed Hippolyta, taking her girdle as the fighting raged around them. Ultimately, Heracles and his men managed to fight their way free from the Amazon onslaught, securing the girdle of Hippolyta as they fled the battlefield. With this 9th labor completed, Heracles returned the prized girdle to Eurystheus, who in turn presented it to his daughter, Admete. The 9th labor highlighted the tragic consequences of deception and misunderstanding, as Heracles and Hippolyta were unwittingly pitted against one another by Hera's machinations. The 10th labor of Heracles took him to the distant western edge of the known world, to the fabled land of Erythea. Here, he was tasked with stealing the magnificent herd of red cattle belonging to the fearsome three-bodied giant, Geryon. Geryon, a son of the monstrous Chrysaor and the ocean nymph Caliro, was known for his ferocity and strength, and his cattle were guarded by the fearsome two-headed hound, Orthrus, and the loyal herdsman, Eurytion. The journey to Erythea was a treacherous one, fraught with numerous challenges and dangers. Heracles encountered the sweltering heat of the Libyan desert, where he was said to have shot an arrow at the sun in his frustration. In response, the sun god Helios, impressed by Heracles' audacity, lent the hero his golden chariot, which he used to traverse the vast ocean and reach the distant island. Upon arriving in Erythea, Heracles faced the formidable duo of Orthrus and Eurytion. Wasting no time, he dispatched the monstrous hound and the herdsman with his mighty club, clearing the way for him to approach Geryon's prized cattle. The furious Geryon, alerted to Heracles' presence and his brutal actions, confronted the hero in a desperate attempt to defend his cherished herd. A fierce battle ensued between Heracles and the mighty Geryon, their colossal strength and prowess on full display. In the end, Heracles emerged victorious, slaying Geryon with his poisoned arrows, which had been dipped in the lethal blood of the defeated Lenaean Hydra. With the giant and his guardians vanquished, Heracles began the arduous task of herding the cattle back to King Eurystheus. The journey back to Mycenae was no less perilous than the trip to Erythea, as Heracles and his bovine chargers faced a myriad of obstacles and hazards. He encountered the powerful river god Achelous, who attempted to flood the hero's path, only to be thwarted by Heracles, who cleverly redirected the river's course. In addition, Heracles was harassed by Hera, who sent swarms of gadflies to torment the cattle, causing them to scatter and further complicating the hero's already daunting task. Despite these challenges, Heracles ultimately persevered, driving the cattle back to Mycenae and completing his 10th labor. This feat once again demonstrated Heracles' incredible strength, determination, and resourcefulness in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Moreover, the 10th labor highlighted the recurring theme of Heracles' ongoing struggle against the scheming Hera, who sought to undermine and sabotage his legendary quest at every turn. For his 11th labor, Heracles was tasked with retrieving the golden apples from the garden of the Hesperides, which was sacred to Hera and guarded by a 100-headed dragon named Ladon. These apples were a wedding gift from Gaia, the earth goddess, to Hera when she married Zeus. The Hesperides, nymphs of the evening, were the daughters of the Titan Atlas and the sea nymph Hesperus, and they tended to the enchanted garden that housed the precious apples. This labor proved to be one of the most challenging for Heracles, as he first had to locate the elusive garden, which was said to be situated at the western edge of the world. The journey to the Garden of the Hesperides took Heracles across vast lands, and he encountered many adventures along the way. One such encounter led Heracles to confront the shape-shifting sea god Nereus, who possessed the knowledge of the garden's location. Heracles managed to overpower Nereus and forced the sea god to reveal the whereabouts of the Garden of the Hesperides. As Heracles continued his journey, he came across the Titan Prometheus, who was bound to a rock as punishment for stealing fire from the gods and giving it to humankind. Each day, an eagle would descend upon Prometheus, tearing at his liver, which would then regenerate overnight, perpetuating his torment. Taking pity on Prometheus, Heracles slew the eagle and freed the Titan from his eternal suffering. In gratitude, Prometheus offered Heracles invaluable advice. He should not attempt to retrieve the apples himself, but instead enlist the aid of Atlas, the Titan who bore the weight of the heavens on his shoulders. Following Prometheus's advice, Heracles sought out Atlas, who agreed to retrieve the apples on the condition that Heracles would temporarily assume the burden of holding up the heavens. Heracles agreed, and Atlas set off to retrieve the golden apples from his daughters, the Hesperides, and the fearsome dragon Ladon. With the apples in hand, Atlas returned to Heracles, but he had grown fond of his newfound freedom and attempted to deceive the hero, suggesting that he should deliver the apples to Eurystheus himself. Heracles, however, was not easily fooled. He pretended to agree with Atlas, but asked the Titan to hold the heavens for just a moment while he adjusted his cloak for better support. Atlas, eager to be relieved of his burden, agreed, and Heracles quickly took advantage of the situation, retrieving the apples and leaving Atlas to resume his eternal punishment. With the golden apples finally in his possession, Heracles returned to King Eurystheus, successfully completing his 11th labor. This labor not only showcased Heracles' physical strength and endurance, but also his cunning and intelligence, as he cleverly outwitted both Nereus and Atlas to accomplish his task. The final, and perhaps the most daunting labor of Heracles, involved venturing into the darkest depths of the ancient Greek underworld. He was tasked with capturing Cerberus, the fearsome three-headed hound that guarded the entrance to Hades, preventing the souls of the dead from escaping and the living from entering. Cerberus was the offspring of the monstrous Echidna and Typhon, and he was a formidable beast with a serpent's tail, and in some accounts, snakes protruding from his back. To reach the underworld, Heracles traveled to the city of Taenarum, home to one of the entrances to Hades, and descended into the abyss. Along the way, he encountered numerous shades of the deceased, some of whom he had previously encountered or fought during his lifetime. Despite the spectral figures surrounding him, Heracles pressed on, resolute in his mission to complete his final labor. While traversing the underworld, Heracles encountered the ghost of Meleager, a hero he had admired. In a gesture of gratitude for Meleager's kindness during their time together, Heracles promised to marry his sister, Deianira, a decision that would later have tragic consequences for the hero. Continuing his journey, Heracles reached the throne room of Hades, the god of the underworld, and his queen, Persephone. Heracles asked for their permission to capture Cerberus and bring him to the surface to complete his labor. Intrigued by Heracles' bold request and impressed with his determination, Hades agreed, on the condition that Heracles capture Cerberus without using any weapons. Armed with only his immense strength and unbreakable resolve, Heracles set off to confront Cerberus. He found the monstrous hound guarding the entrance to the underworld, and without hesitating, engaged the beast in a fierce struggle. Despite Cerberus's terrifying ferocity and fearsome appearance, Heracles managed to subdue the creature, capturing it alive and unharmed. With Cerberus in his grasp, Heracles returned to the world of the living, where he presented the captured hound to a terrified King Eurystheus. Astonished and fearful of Heracles' incredible feat, Eurystheus ordered the hero to return Cerberus to the underworld, thereby completing his 12 labors and freeing him from his service. The 12th labor of Heracles exemplifies the culmination of the hero's journey, showcasing his strength, determination, and unwavering courage. In successfully capturing Cerberus, Heracles overcame not only the physical challenge of subduing the fearsome hound, but also the psychological trial of venturing into the underworld, a place where few mortals dared to tread. This labor highlights the completion of Heracles' transformation from a mortal man to a true hero, revered and celebrated throughout ancient Greece and beyond. The post-labor adventures of Heracles are an essential part of his life story, filled with adversity, romance, battles, and tragedy. They demonstrate the complexity of his character, as well as the enduring nature of his heroism. Upon completing the 12 labors, Heracles set out to marry Deianira, the sister of the deceased hero Meleager. Before he could do so, however, Heracles had to face the river god Hercules in combat. Hercules, a powerful deity who could shapeshift into a bull or a serpent, was also vying for Deianira's hand. In a fierce battle, Heracles bested the river god by breaking one of his horns, thereby proving his strength and commitment to his future wife. Heracles and Deianira were married, and for a time, they lived happily. As they journeyed through their life together, Heracles' reputation as a hero often preceded him, and many sought to test their strength against his or challenge him to impossible tasks. One such challenge occurred when Heracles and Deianira encountered the centaur Nessus. The cunning centaur, known for his malevolence, offered to carry Deianira across a raging river. Once Deianira was on his back, however, Nessus attempted to abduct her, hoping to take advantage of her vulnerability. Heracles, ever the vigilant husband, noticed the centaur's treachery and shot him with an arrow poisoned with the venom of the Lernaean hydra. Nessus, in his dying moments, concocted a devious plan for revenge. He told Deianira that his blood, tainted with the hydra's venom, could be used as a love potion to ensure Heracles' fidelity. Deianira, naive and desperate to protect her marriage, collected the mixture and kept it hidden away. Years later, when Deianira began to suspect Heracles of infidelity, she retrieved the poisonous mixture and soaked a robe in it. She then presented the robe to Heracles, hoping it would secure his love and loyalty. Tragically, the potent venom adhered the robe to Heracles' skin, causing excruciating pain as it slowly consumed his flesh. Unable to bear the torment any longer, Heracles built a funeral pyre and willingly climbed atop it. As the flames engulfed him, his mortal body was destroyed, but his divine essence ascended to Mount Olympus, where he was granted immortality and eternal youth by his father Zeus. In this final act, Heracles' journey came to an end, and he took his place among the gods as a legendary hero of ancient Greece. Throughout his post-labor adventures, Heracles also participated in other legendary quests and battles. He joined the Argonauts, a group of heroes led by Jason, in their quest for the Golden Fleece. Additionally, he aided the gods in the Gigantomachy, a great war against the giants who sought to overthrow the Olympians. These exploits only served to bolster his reputation as an extraordinary hero. The story of Heracles has reverberated through the centuries, leaving an indelible mark on history, culture, and our collective imagination. His legendary status as a hero has transcended the confines of ancient Greece, influencing the arts, literature, and even our modern understanding of heroism. Heracles' legacy in literature and the arts is undeniable. He has been portrayed in countless poems, plays, and works of fiction, both ancient and modern. In ancient Greek drama, playwrights such as Sophocles and Euripides featured Heracles in their tragedies, exploring the complexities of his character and the moral dilemmas he faced. In the Roman era, the poet Ovid retold Heracles' myths in his epic poem Metamorphoses, further cementing the hero's place in the literary canon. Throughout the ages, artists and sculptors have been inspired by Heracles and his exploits. His image can be found on countless Greek vases, depicting scenes from his 12 labors and his other adventures. In the Hellenistic period, the sculptor Lysippos created the iconic Farnese Hercules, a colossal statue of the hero at rest, showcasing his muscular physique and emphasizing his superhuman strength. Even during the Renaissance, Heracles continued to captivate artists, with figures like Michelangelo and Annibale Carracci drawing inspiration from his legendary feats. Heracles' influence extends beyond the arts and literature. His legendary exploits have shaped our modern concept of heroism, which is often characterized by incredible strength, unwavering courage, and self-sacrifice. Heracles' enduring appeal is evident in the way he is continually reimagined and reinvented in modern pop culture. From comic book characters like Superman and Thor, to Disney's animated adaptation of his story, Hercules, the tale of Heracles continues to resonate with audiences worldwide. The legacy of Heracles has also left a significant mark on language and etymology. The name Hercules, the Roman equivalent of Heracles, has become synonymous with immense strength and fortitude. In English, the term Herculean is used to describe tasks or challenges that require extraordinary effort or ability, reflecting the larger-than-life nature of the hero's feats. In addition to his impact on culture, literature, and language, Heracles has also left a lasting impression on the geographical and historical landscape of the ancient world. Many locations in Greece and the Mediterranean were associated with his adventures, labors, and exploits, often becoming places of worship or pilgrimage. Some cities claimed Heracles as their founder or patron, such as Thebes, where he was said to have been born, and Tarentum in southern Italy, which was believed to have been established by the hero during one of his many voyages. The legacy of Heracles is a testament to the timeless nature of his story and the profound impact it has had on generations of readers, artists, and scholars. Through countless retellings and reinterpretations, his tale has captured the essence of human struggle, the complexities of heroism, and the power of perseverance in the face of adversity. In many ways, Heracles embodies the archetypal hero, and his story will likely continue to inspire and captivate future generations. So to answer the question on whether Heracles is the ultimate hero from the Greek mythos, my answer is yes. What do you think? What is your favorite tale about Heracles? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like or subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Until next time.